station is Music of the Underground. Change here to meet the latest artists making waves in London.
Hello everyone, welcome to Music of the Underground. I'm Matt and I'm joined today by
ALTROVE or Lorenzo
and
ROSIN or Greta.
Fantastic. Well, guys, musicians in London, making music in London. What a crazy thing to be doing. How did you guys start? How did this sort of cooperation between you guys start out?
It started like a friend in common, Matt. Love you, Matt. We met, I met Matt like at a uni, the accommodation. You already didn't know Matt.
I met Matt through Instagram in the end because we went to the same uni. Matt went to a different uni before joining Lorenzo's. And yeah, they texted me and said that they liked my voice and if we wanted to do a session sometime. And then you were at,
yeah,
and then
I was this as well with Matt. We just came together.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So you guys started really working out of uni halls in McLaren, where we used to stay. Pretty rough place. What was that like, sort of starting out making bedroom music with just, laptops and stuff? Because that really was your beginning.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I think for me that was like nice in a way to get more familiar with Lorenzo and Matt because I didn't know either of them, and I was like, or I think I had one session with Matt before actually you joined us. But yeah, it was kind of more like a homely vibe atmosphere and felt a bit more comfortable maybe than, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got really close. We were just making music in literally our bedroom, the place where we were
Yeah.
living, studying, and everything.
Because even now, in the house that we live in now, all I hear, you guys are in there for hours at a time, making music, making sound.
Yeah, exactly. But the home studio vibe, you can say you started from the, it's really homey, you can always feel comfortable, there's no pressure.
Oh yeah,
just really
sure.
comfortable place to create and like be yourself,
Yeah.
I think.
So what do you guys think that you work together? Sort of, what are the themes that really you share as musicians? Because we spoke a bit about it before. I remember hearing love as one of them.
Yeah.
Another one. Mental health is a big one.
Mental health, of course.
Yeah.
Love and mental health, the two pillar stones of modern society.
Of
Absolutely.
life.
Modern music.
Life, existence.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think we just we're quite compatible in sharing and listening.
Yeah, it's really hard to find someone that really likes making the same stuff that you want to do. And so when you find someone, you just need kind of to stay with it and just work on it.
Yeah, because you both have really unique sounds. I feel like the music that I've heard that you've made solo, I haven't heard any of your solo stuff because you mostly work with this.
This is your
this
soul
guy.
stuff in some way.
Yeah, it is. Actually.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I shan't talk about credit with music, but I'm sure it's great. Yes, this leads on to one of the big songs that we're about to see a clip of. A little song called Pile of Clothes. Could you tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Yeah, so Pile of Clothes stands as like a metaphor for bad mental health maybe. So yeah, it's like when I'm in a bad place mentally, I usually notice first when I see my room and I'm not spending much time in my room because I just go there to sleep and then leave, and then when I notice it being quite messy, I notice that maybe I'm not doing too well and I should take better care of myself. And I think that's what Pile of Clothes is about. It's more oh, actually
Finding yourself in that sort of space.
Yeah, and I think it's more about awareness. It's not about oh, I'm really sad right now. It's more about oh, yeah, that's how I am at the moment.
Well, I think we have a clip of it if we want to have a little listen to Pile of Clothes.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. Let's play the clip. Amazing. What a clip. Yeah, so that was that one of the first songs that you guys made together?
Actually, no.
No.
We made it quite recently, like this year. That was one of the first songs that we made, like without Matt, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two of us together. Yeah,
One of your first
definitely one of the first.
collaborations as a duo project.
As a duo, yeah, definitely one of the first one.
So how long have you been working as a duo now?
Ooh. We've been working together, all together, for like a year. But like I would say, me and you from like September probably.
Yeah.
It's like been 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, most of the songs that we did in the last 6 months, besides the DMB one, just me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's very good. Why do you think you guys started really working together more as a duo? Because like obviously you said that you had a third member. What sort of sent this sort of on the creative direction that it's gone on?
I think it just like happened a bit more like gradually, not really as like a. I don't really think it was like a full decision. It was more like
Just sort of happened.
life happening,
Yeah.
and Matt also has their own artist project, Lapsung, which is amazing and like very inspiring. And yeah, I think it's like there's always a lot happening at once. So I think it was just more like gradually they had less time for this project, so it just happened, but it wasn't really like
Yeah, there was no like break.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
happened. We didn't argue or anything. It just happened really naturally. Just taking distance.
It's a busy scene in London.
it is.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I've spoken to you a lot about why you chose specifically to be in London to pursue music, but I'll extend it to both of you. Why did you sort of think that London is the place? Because you're from Italy, you're from Germany. Why come here?
I feel like London in Europe is the place where like all the new music is happening. For every genre you like, if you like hyperpop, if you like post-punk, jazz, whatever you like, London is the place to be. So many opportunities for like young musicians and for original music as well, which is really important. Something really beautiful. You can go every night in venues and just watch new artists coming out with their own songs. And I think it's just really inspiring.
Yeah, for me it was actually like kind of like a next step after moving to Brighton, because I lived in Brighton first and studied there. And obviously like coming from Berlin, moving to Brighton first was really nice for me because it was like a smaller city, student town, and it felt very like comforting from the start. And then, but it's also kind of small, so I felt like I needed to move on to something else to like, yeah, feel inspired again and like to get to a new place. I think that's always just like important also for my personal development. And then London was kind of the next step. But I was actually a bit scared to move to London because I was although I am from Berlin, like London is still bigger. But yeah, I moved here and I don't know, I had like first 3 months literally felt like I was in love with the city. Like it was so there was this energy, and I don't know, I was going out a lot, like all the time, but I felt I met so many people, and yeah, it was like a very strong feeling.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the connections that you guys have made, like recently you were telling me about how you were recording in the Apple studio.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have been able to get opportunities like that if you hadn't been in London, if you had stayed in Berlin or if you'd stayed in Milan?
Probably no.
Probably not.
It's something, London is just magic for music.
It's just that place. 'Cause
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
just that place.
A lot of your influences, like FKA Twigs and Charlie XCX, they're both.
Yeah, I've always loved like a lot of UK music in general, from like 60s, from Beatles, from Pink Floyd, to like 90s as well. But Radiohead, my favorite band ever, British. But like yeah, also all the new pop stuff in London that's happening is just so cool and interesting. It's bringing a lot of fresh air towards like the radio and the pop music.
Yeah, because one of the big things that I've noticed from your development is we have a housemate who's a big D&B head. He's just over there. Hi, Luke. He loves D&B, and you and I don't really. But thanks to Luke, we have now gotten a little bit into it, and you made a D&B song.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
And also Matt.
Yeah, and also we took inspiration from things we don't really even And I don't really even enjoy and try to make it something I enjoy more. That was the...
Well, that's the artist process,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
the artist process.
That's the artist process. Well, if we have that clip of some D&B, why don't we have a little listen? What a song. What a song. That was written in German, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was one of the first songs that you've written in German.
Yeah. I like instantly say like, yeah, like so German.
Why is that? Why did you sort of start? Because I noticed that you started writing your music in English. Why was that sort of the decision that you made?
I think, I don't know, I think from the start I always thought music has to be in English. So I always, yeah, that was always like what I was like, do you say striving for? Yeah, but like that was always like
Sort of the level of great music you put, in my head, great music is in English.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's obviously like English is like a universal language, so everyone can understand you, and it's, and yeah, I think obviously music is also a language, but it's like still the language and the lyrics is also are so important when you take care, if someone tells a story and tells their perspective. But yeah, I think I started writing in German actually because a friend of mine told me that, or like, she was like, you know what, I think it would be a great, like, just like a great practice for you, because it's so interesting to try out, to write in different languages, and yeah, and she's actually like half Italian, half German. She also wrote a lot in English, and she was kind of like telling me about her experience about it, and yeah, that I found that quite inspiring to be like, is like a new, like a, also like the mother tongue, maybe like a different experience or a different, yeah, like a different style of writing, and I actually found it like a lot harder.
Harder, really?
Yeah, because I think with English I have a bit more distance to what I say, and it's almost like I have more time to think about what I say.
Yeah, because you're translating it.
Exactly, exactly. Like you think more about what you say and how to get it to the point, while with German maybe I ramble a bit more, or I don't know. Actually,
no, English feels like a real direct language in some way, and
yeah,
like in a song,
very
almost everything.
conversational.
Yeah, everything could sound good in English. Well, if you translate in another language, sometimes it just doesn't work.
Really, but do you think, would you write in Italian or English, do you think?
Depends. English is easier to like get ideas down, because like everything could sound good. But in Italian it's just more colorful, more like way more words.
Yes.
Sometimes you can choose more details on what you try to write rather than English, but
I guess also for us, because we may be a bit more limited in English, that we have to be more direct, because I don't have access to the whole vocabulary, or I don't know as many words as it, like compared to my German skills.
Yeah.
And maybe for you it's the same with Italian, that you're like, what do I want to say, and then you keep it quite simple, which can sometimes be more poetic to me than, or yeah, more special than like putting like metaphors and making it very complicated.
Yeah. So, growing up out in Europe, in Italy, in Germany, what was sort of you guys' musical influences growing up? Like, what were the things that came together to make you are now?
I started a lot like rock and metal music. I've been playing guitar since I was like 9, 10, so I love that.
A lot of experience.
A lot of experience. Could be more, but could have possibly more. But also, I love Italian music on the side of Italian pop music, all the indie alternative stuff that was going on, and always has a passion for like pop music, a bit hidden there. All the 2010, really like that. But yeah, but since I moved to London, it just everything changed.
Everything changed.
Everything changed.
Everything changed.
You can see where things can go. I don't know, like when I remember Sophie's album came out, 2018, 19, and she just was a revolution, just using sounds in a new way. Music doesn't have to be like instrument, but could be just sounds. There was like a whole revolution for me for how we produce, how I perceive music. And they're really opened my eyes to, I need to go to London now.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
sort of stuff happening. For you?
For me, actually, I think I was probably like influenced also what my dad would listen to a lot. He listened to like a lot of like The Cure, Placebo, but when I was younger, we actually like always would have like a fight over like the radio station, because when I was like really young, I obviously wanted to be cool and just wanted to listen to like the like pop music. Yeah, Avril Lavigne was my first concert. I was a big fan. Avril Lavigne, yeah.
A skater girl, if you will.
Well, I wish I could skate, but yeah.
You can still find a skater boy.
Skater girl aesthetic, maybe, or like mindset. Let me put it like that.
Skater girl mindset. That's what we're going to be needing going into 2023.
Exactly.
But yeah, growing up, your dad sounds like a musical guy. Sort of, what age or like at what point did you sort of think music is for me? I want to pursue music. What sort of age did you find that?
I was like, to be fair, I was quite late. I was like 15, 16.
Really?
Yeah, high school. I was like, I really hate doing anything else. I don't really like going to school. I don't like doing math. I hate that. I just want to go home and play my guitar and stay with my computer doing my beats.
A lot of people at home can relate to that, I'm sure.
I can make a job out of this. I'm trying. Still haven't done that.
Doing pretty well. Both of you do. We're here. You're here on Music of the Underground.
Exactly.
Of course, this is the peak.
Well, this is just the start.
Of course, this is the beginning of the ascent.
Exactly.
Yes.
For me, it was. I think I wanted to be a pop star when I was like a child. And I remember in school we had to decide between French and English and what we want to learn first. And for me, I was like, it's English because I want to be a pop star and I want to make music. And then later, because I started singing in choirs and also taking piano lessons, and I started improvising, while learning for like school and like my vocabulary, and just like improvised, just like whatever words it was. Like I was always like a melody writer first, so. And then it turned into taking other people's lyrics, the little CD booklets that you had? Yeah, so I took these and then put them in front of me and just like sang new melodies and like made new songs out of them. And then actually much later I started caring about lyrics. Like at first I honestly didn't care about lyrics. It was all about melody and like the feeling that you get from a song, and I usually never listened to.
Because I feel like it's still something we do a lot, because we both grew up basically not understanding like what they were saying on the songs on the radio. So what was like more important was like, what's the melody? How does it sound? Does it sound good? What's the energy more than like the actual lyrics?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then I think in between I wanted to become an actor, but
you can still do it.
Huh?
You can still do it.
Yeah, of course. But I think for me it was hard to take on a role. So I think with music, I just have to be myself.
So you just like attention.
Of course. Of course, baby.
Absolutely. That's all anyone does anything for, attention. But of course, so you guys make a lot of music. You make a fair amount of music. I hear you almost every day making music. Where do you sort of draw on to make all of that music? What are sort of your inspirations in do you use things from your day-to-day? Is it more like big concepts? Is it other artists you've heard? What are sort of like the big things that recently you've been using as your fuel?
What have you been using? Your personal life mainly.
Yeah, I always joke about this to Lorenzo, that I think also you're a bit more private. I'm very much an open book, so I can't ever hide any emotions. So I just write it down, or I say it out loud, or I talk to my friends about it, or talk about it while
Or your
being in a
Lorenzo,
session.
not your friend, your producer, of course.
No, I think we're actually like
Yeah, of
you're
course.
really close friend. Like
At
I
this
think,
point.
yeah, of course. Like we work a lot together, and yeah, I mean, you
We
know,
ain't got all the
you,
time.
yeah, and you know
Yeah,
quite
8
like.
hours at a time.
I think also it's like although I am an open book, I wouldn't be open with anyone.
Mhm.
I think I'm still quite intuitive, so I take my time with who I trust, and I think with Lorenzo I had that from the start, that I felt like quite comfortable and like comfortable to share things. So yeah, a lot of it is a life and
Boys.
trying to make sense of it, and
Life and trying to make sense of it.
yeah, and just I think every time I'm overwhelmed, maybe organizing thoughts. Literally, I think writing music is organizing thoughts and like putting down what you feel, and then you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, because I
that's
see
what it is.
when you come into a session with like a story,
Mm.
you always have like a different view at the end of the session. Like you always
Really?
know better
That's so
how to feel
interesting.
about it. Like when you come in, you're always really confused, but once the song is down,
First,
you
I cry.
first you
and
cry.
and then at the end of the session, I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
you make a big peace with yourself. I think when you write the
Oh.
song, and once you get to the end of the song, we're just
Yeah, music.
that's what
therapy.
happened. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, do you
glad.
think Mindless was very therapeutic? Because this is Lee's song about emotion and all things that I know, and ex-boyfriends.
I wasn't even a boyfriend. Didn't even have that
I
title.
shan't presume. But yeah, what was sort of the process for making Mindless?
I think that was a bit different because I think I was already like, I had worked through the emotion already,
Mm-hmm.
so I wasn't super attached. I was
it was
more
more
like,
of a bad bitch vibe. You were just, I'm over this.
Yeah,
I want to just
exactly.
scream it.
Exactly. I think also like, I think we started with the instrumental.
Yeah, because we wanted to do like, I want to do some like club banger this time, like a high BPM or like
Yeah.
hyper poppy sound, something that makes you more like really dance.
Yeah, and then so that it just like the instrumental inspired more like the theme of it and like the feeling of it maybe as well. And yeah, that was just someone I was disappointed about, but also it's, I don't know, in the end it's just also fun in a way, because it's like although you maybe had like not the best experiences, I think it's kind of like
It's
fun.
life,
In the end
innit?
you have a song of it, and
Yeah,
that's
you have
like
a song.
that's better.
Yeah, well, without further ado, let's have a look at that song, Mindless.
Bit my tongue when you said I'm pretty, when I said it's fine, but I still felt angry, guess I wish it was. I wasn't there yet, yeah, your disrespect felt so mindless, felt so mindless.
Mindless. What a song. So yeah, that was an emotional one for you, or at least a bad bitch one, however it ended up. What do you think is your the hardest song that it's sort of creatively it's been to produce between you guys? What has been the one that's taken the most out of you, been the most demanding?
I don't know. I think Good Apart was like a heavy one. It's one of the first songs we did. It was like the second song, I think.
Second
Master. Yeah, there was like I felt like a really emotional song. You were really feeling it.
Mm.
And I think you can notice. I still have videos from the first demo that we were first recording. And it's definitely like the point.
Maybe first time I cried also.
It was the second session, like.
Still.
Crying in the second
Yeah.
session. That's a connection right there. You can tell.
Yeah.
That's real. You
Yeah.
can't fake that.
After the first session, I was like, oh, she's really good. She's an amazing voice. But it's during like the second Good Apart, I realized, oh, she actually is like, she doesn't just really have a beautiful voice, but she has like actually stuff to say
Oh.
and a way to say them.
Oh, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I
you
know.
Big softie.
Yeah. It was a really good session. A really good song that we're recording now.
Yeah, I think it actually took like 2 sessions to record. Was it, if I could remember correctly, I felt like we started recording the vocals, and then I was like too sad.
Oh yeah,
And
I think
then
so.
we actually
Yeah,
had to go back to it.
but it worked.
Yeah, but it worked. And I think, was I think also that was also we had the instrumental first, kind of like Matt started with like.
Oh yeah, that
keys
was when
and-
we started with the piano,
Yeah.
improvising over,
Yeah.
and it just evolved into being more and more emotional. Like, no, it needs to go harder, more emotional. People have to cry harder than this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, at the end you need to be a fountain.
A fountain.
Fountain
A fountain of creativity.
That's so much so
of
funny.
tears.
Of tears. Of tears and
Oh.
creativity.
That was why you said that.
Absolutely. It's the only way to get emotion out.
Tears.
Do you cry often in the studio?
I make it sound like it right now, but I wouldn't say
because
so.
from what I'm gathering from this conversation, you go in there and it's just, you know, it's weekly therapy. You're like, ugh, Lorenzo, slamming your bag off. You have no idea what happened.
No, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
so.
but she does that, but she doesn't cry every time she does that.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about things, but I don't cry every time. But to be fair,
It's more a joke.
but every time, yeah, it's more of a joke.
Yeah,
And
for
also,
those that-
I'm not like constantly sad. I think that's like a very people assume because I love sad music that I'm sad. I'm not sad. Like I am happy. Like, I don't know. It's just like it's
you just don't really have a middle ground, I would say.
yeah. It's just intense. Like I think I feel intensely. So that's that maybe.
Well, that's a wonderful quality for an artist.
Yeah.
Talking about working together, you were saying sort of like the second session the second recording session, that was really when you sort of clicked. When do you think you sort of decided that, oh, Lorenzo, I'm going to stick with him for the long run?
That's an interesting question.
I think for me it's like it is a lot about understanding each other and also having interesting ideas and just like trying out things. And I think people write music very differently, but with Lorenzo it was always like we would go into a session and try things out and it would evolve, and I think we would both have ideas and like throw them in and try them out, and that's what made it work. It wasn't really like, I mean, sometimes also it was like,
Yeah, most of the time we just sit in, we just keyboard, guitar, create a loop, you start trying over, and we just go on throwing ideas till we find one that feels right, and we go, oh, it's a cool idea, we can evolve an entire song from this.
And I like when people have different ideas from what I would do, and that's I think what makes things more interesting, because if it would be similar ideas than what I would do, then I wouldn't need other people to
You will do,
Yeah.
will do it by yourself.
Yeah, it just becomes something
Yeah,
new.
the clash is really positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for the next song that we've got a clip of, Good Apart, which we were talking about earlier, talking about like the process of making, how much do you think that song, because I'm sure all of your songs evolve and change, as you said, how much did that change from like first session, getting the loops, getting the ideas, to finished final track?
Ooh.
Not too much,
To be
actually.
fair, a bit, because we got basically down the entire idea of the song in one session. A bit more for the lyrics, but then me and Matt reopened the whole project in like June. Yeah, and we started adding stuff. The core idea was there, but there was a lot more like studies, more sound design to do, more new sounds, and we just sit there and do that. So like, it's something that takes long. It's something we're still working on. We still have to figure out the vocals a bit.
It's actually, it's still, like, the version we're gonna hear is still not the final version. Because I'm actually really excited for the final version, because I think there's always a moment when we're in the studio that there's something new or that we do something where you do something unusual that makes it exciting. And with that one, I think I started singing in like kind of like an operatic style.
Oh yeah.
And it got like, I don't know, it was just really interesting.
It was quite comic at first, but then it just, this actually sound good.
Yeah.
Trying to mic farther in the room, feel like
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
Author
without
singing.
further ado, why don't we have a listen to this is Good Apart. Why don't we have a listen to Good Apart? There we are, Good Apart, your magnum opus for the moment. And with that final song, that is the end of our show. Guys, thank you so much for coming on, being with us today. Do you want anything to plug? Any shows, any Instagram handles, anything at all?
No, yeah, but like follow me, ALTROVE.jpg.
Yep, put them down below. One over there. There we go. There we go. We got both of those.
It's me, ROSIN, and we will just keep you updated about everything that's gonna come this year. There will definitely be music
Singles,
out
shows.
this year.
Yeah.
Well, follow up the Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in, watching live at home. This has been great. Thank you so much for giving us the time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. And for those at home, keep listening to music.